so high. Dance, dance. Dance, dance. Dance, dance. Dance.
By the power of Crowder Shop, I have the power!
Dave, you're not wearing pants.
'Tis true.
Where'd Dave get those cool threads? Wouldn't you like to know? It's a mystery. But you can start your treasure hunt at crowdershop.com. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Crowder Shop.
Wonderful sip. And that's a little Moroccan mint green tea.
Oh,
Sounds like
very
that was a
good.
reserve.
First sip.
I'm a fan of the tea. Not so much the lifestyle over there. And the movie Babel.
Terrible.
Not a fan.
That's the only one. Really. How many Moroccan themed films? I don't know. Babel.
It's not representing well.
Not sitting their best.
They just don't have the tax incentives. Unlike Michigan, where actually Dave Landau in third chair is from. How are you, sir?
Ahoy, how about you?
I'm doing well. You have a show coming up November 11th at the Cotillion in Wichita, Kansas.
Yes, we found a place that doesn't make you get vaxxed.
Oh,
very nice.
I'm going to Wichita.
Yep.
Last rock band who existed. I'm going to introduce everyone else really quickly, but first, look, we're going to be talking today. There's a new drug coming out from Merck, the creators of Ivermectin, and of course, $300-something million from the federal government for a vaccine. Look, this is something we always have to be really careful in discussing on YouTube because you can't necessarily cite peer-reviewed published studies.
Not necessarily.
What a
no.
world.
If they just don't like them.
Yeah.
And we've stumbled across some scary information here that since we've actually referenced peer-reviewed medical studies, they've since been removed. Not because they were inaccurate, but because they didn't like that they had been referenced as a source. So,
Oh, well, dang it.
I'm sorry.
That's our
And we're going to talk about that. And of course, the new wonder drug.
Oh.
New wonder drug from Merck.
The red pill.
Yeah. And really quickly, look, I want to ask you guys, you can comment below. We've always talked about our line in the sand. We're going to be talking about Fauci saying, we can't say Christmas. We don't know. It's too early to tell. It's never been easier to draw your line in the sand. How are you going to celebrate Christmas with as many humans as possible in your house? That's all you have to do right now. All
That
you
sounds
have
like
to
a
do
great plan.
is be merry and keep You know what? And if you keep Christmas in your heart all year round, it can be Christmas every day.
I love it.
It is tough trying that in July, but the point remains. You can just tell people religious exemption. All right, we have Gerald A. How are you?
I might have the COVID.
You might have the.
Oh, no.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I mean, I just feel really run down. So
Oh, great. Again.
Oh my gosh!
I know it's
You're gonna give it to
terrible.
me
Stop
again.
the presses.
It's terrible.
He feels slightly groggy.
It's like,
Oh, it's got to be COVID.
It's like,
then.
do I have COVID or did I take Benadryl in the last 24 hours?
that's true. It is a similar.
Is it a high pollen day or am I going to die?
Better create the quarantine camps, which will be
knows?
completed in 2024 in Australia.
I'd be on a train if I was in Australia right now, heading out to the wilderness
sorry, mate.
for the camps.
Getting 3 squares of porridge.
Yes. Please, sir, can I have some? No,
No.
you can't have more. All right, Quarter Black Garrett is here. How are
What's
you?
up? What's going on? I'm ready for the holidays. I'm gonna party. I'm gonna try to party as much as I
You
can.
gonna try and party?
Yeah.
And
Let all
for you,
my,
though,
all my
remember,
relatives in. You know.
avoid if any membrane comes in with a scythe, you do not let him in the door.
That's a good plan.
Here's, I think, a perfect crystallization. It's been trending. Well, actually, it was trending on Twitter, and then they switched it
Yes.
to F Donald
Of course,
Trump.
of course they
Of
did.
course they did. Yeah.
I don't know, and you guys comment and tell me what you think was going on. Brandon Brown, I have to make sure I get the name right because I don't follow NASCAR.
Brandon.
There's a NASCAR for Dummies book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that just NASCAR?
Yes.
I'm kidding, guy. No,
It's just chapter
I'm
one,
Sure, I'm sure I
turn
just
left.
lost half our fan base.
Half our audience is like, Dave.
I used to work in race. Yeah, you're right.
Chapter 1, just turn left. Chapter 2, are you still reading this?
Keep turning left.
If you're watching an instructional on Netflix, the Q would say, are you awake? Are you still? We told you to turn left.
Yeah, try to go faster than the other cars.
Yes.
What's your favorite brand, Home Depot or Lowe's?
Yeah.
Home Depot.
They are God-loving people, and they support this country. Though.
Well, yeah, except
They are.
Here's the thing: the
Except Bubba
the
Wallace.
NASCAR fans are different from the NASCAR organization.
Yeah.
And this just shows the chasm that exists between all of these whether it's we think it's just Hollywood, the entertainment industry, but they really do have control over sports with NASCAR and this wokeism. You need to know your audience.
Yeah.
And it was very clear that with Bubba Wallace, it was a garage door opener. Did they ever apologize for that?
No, of course not.
No, they didn't.
The FBI is getting to the bottom of it, though.
It also wasn't the size of a nuke. It was just to put your hand
It was
in.
like a finger hole.
Yeah.
It sent the message, Dave.
What was it? A noose for ants?
Yeah.
So on Saturday, Brandon Brown won his first ever NASCAR Xfinity race. There you go. I like Xfinity.
All right.
This bitch prefers Spectrum. He's one of them fruits. And his post-race interview, this dame from NBC Sports, they started cheering the F Joe Biden,
Right.
and she was saying she thought they were cheering "We Love Brandon." I don't know if she thought that or if it was a cover-up. You guys watch.
Thank you so much, Jabs Construction.
Hair looks
Thank
like a
you,
Pixar
Mid-Atlantic.
character.
Thank you to all of our partners. Oh my God, just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me.
Christopher Lloyd at the end of
Hear the
Roger
chants
Rabbit.
from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you were going to kind of hang back those two stages and just watch and learn.
Listen to them cheer you, Brandon. They love you.
You heard her laugh before she said that. She's like, so the crowd is really behind you,
They're
Brandon.
chanting "Let's go, Brandon." What's with the hair? It's like if he came out like that, like my child, like God, what were you? Were you running late? Like, oh, and his hair cotton ball. What the hell's the difference?
He's wearing
Reggie,
a
I heard of
racing helmet
dreadlocks
for the
with
last
shitlocks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he's wearing a racing helmet for the last 2.5 hours, trying not to die.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
So his hair's not great.
Oh, that's fair. I just thought it was a little
true.
tuft.
Well, she should put a hat on. That's branding. You can sell that.
What do you think? Before I move on, do you think that she genuinely thought they were saying "Let's go, Brandon"?
No,
no, I don't know.
I think it was complete cover.
I don't
could be an
know.
idiot.
She's on the course. It's loud, maybe.
No, it's not a course.
She's
It's a track. What the hell is
I don't
going on
watch
here?
this crap.
Well, she's a woman with sports. I don't. I don't think she knew what she was talking about.
Yeah, they always look. There are some female broadcasters who are great with sports, and there are some who clearly know nothing about the sport.
Right, and those are my favorites.
Yes, like Megan O'Leary with the UFC. She's unbelievable. She's one of the best. She's married to a fighter. She really knows it. And then you have some people who come out like, Chuck Liddell. You're like, oh my God, please go away.
It appears he's hitting him.
He's hitting him really hard. Oh my
God, so
that
they're
does
gonna
not
stop
look
him?
fun.
Is anyone going to stop this?
Did they sign up for this? Did they know that he would be kicking him in the teeth?
Oh, there go his teeth.
Oh, what? Oh, the women are coming out. Can you punch in the tits? Which is, by the way, if I were a female fighter, that's
Can
all
you?
I would do. Just like a speed bag. I don't know if it's against the rules. Don't care.
Does it even hurt though? I mean, that's
I feel like
fake
that's
it.
got to hurt,
Oh, okay.
right?
A tit punch would hurt. Yeah, see, Angela.
Yeah, Angela.
I don't have them. I don't
Yes.
know.
I'm not saying I would do it as a
Confirm yes.
man to a woman. I'm saying if I was a woman fighting a woman,
I
it's
know.
very easy if you hit to the groin. It's clear that it's illegal, right? There's no other reason.
right, yeah.
But you could be you could go for the head. You go a little low. You could be hitting an uppercut and just boom, knock yourself out.
Any fight I've ever been in, all balls. That's what I go
All
for.
ball. You go for
It's a quick, easy win.
straight up the pipe. All right, so
It's just wrong, Dave.
we'll go here because this is a trend and it's been growing. It hasn't slowed down, and the media obviously doesn't cover it. Some of the most popular posts at the website loudwithcrowder.com have been just posting these people chanting this.
It's great.
And then finally, when they were caught with their pants, I'm like, let's go, Brandon. So this started, or we covered on the show, I believe, was it September 13th? It was chanted at the Triller Fight Club event with Donald Trump. Here's the clip when we first covered it.
The crowd was seen chanting, and this is not a political rally. This was
No.
a fight night.
Right.
This could easily be just a random sampling of the country chanting "We love Trump," followed by a chant about the most popular president in history, 80 million votes, Joe Biden. This happened organically.
Special Warriors. We're still going strong. That's good.
That's great.
It still makes me
Yeah.
laugh.
It happened
Classic.
at my show in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
last
did it?
weekend. Swear to God, it started happening when they all were chanting of Joe Biden.
Was it before? Not in the middle of your set.
No, it was in the middle of my set.
Oh, no.
But they meant it with, out of love.
Yeah.
But I even said, I'm like, guys, this is a stand-up show. It's literally the worst place you can do this. I agree with the sentiment.
Right.
And then they all stopped.
Oh, that's.
But it was like, yeah, I get it.
They're just like waiting. They're just like an antsy kid. Like, can I say?
I think they should do it on Broadway shows. I think every place that you gather as a group of people, this chant should start. Maybe in church, maybe that's the only place.
Yeah,
Broadway, 3 or more
when
gather.
The Spider-Man show going on before he plummets to his death as the 19th incarnation. Joe Biden! Oh.
We have another understudy.
Ba-na-na, ba-na-na. You guys remember all the safety hazards of Spider-Man? Like, who'd have thought?
Yeah, it lasted 3 weeks on Broadway because everyone died.
Yes.
Like every
Who's surprised?
show.
You two sucks.
We're a far cry from Julie Andrews playing Peter Pan. All right.
Sweet gal.
Never understood why the ladies played Peter Pan. It was early social engineering. So this has been going on for a while. Here's a quick montage for those of you who missed it. It's been going on. This is the trend. It's like a planking, only with disdain for the former Vice President of the United States. It's festive.
I love it.
Expect Bane to come out with a "What a lovely voice."
I agree.
The city can be saved.
There's so many.
There's so many guys.
So much.
I'm sorry. I know if it seems repetitive, that's
And it's
by
all over the
design.
place. These are not just red states. That was USC a second ago. Michigan before that.
U of M is not.
No. Ann Arbor is not a bastion of conservatism, folks, just to be clear. That's kind of an event when it happens in Ann Arbor. So let's go through it. We have $3.5 trillion in spending, or as they call it, a rounding error that obviously we'll never be able to actually pay for, even if you increase taxes on the wealthy, despite the fact that tax revenue went up under Donald Trump with tax cuts. It's something called the Laffer curve, or Herzog's law. We've talked about it, or Hauser's law. Sorry, we've talked about it. What else? We have a kill the Keystone pipeline, while obviously supporting pipelines in foreign countries. Namely,
for Russia.
Screw those union workers.
COVID vaccine mandates. We have a border crisis, which is worse than it's ever been in modern American history. Not to mention the Afghanistan pullout that obviously caused the death of Americans and plenty of our Afghan allies, going directly against the advice of military leaders with no accountability. So this is why you're seeing people out there, I think. Fuck Joe Biden?
Yes, I think that's the sentiment. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think
roughly.
yeah.
That beep was spot on.
Yes.
That was accurate. Gotta love it's
I
live.
think it was close.
All right.
I just thought it was great. That made it funnier.
I apologize if you had kids in the room. I was intending for the bleep to work.
It's all right. If kids in the room have watched any football game, they've heard
know.
it
Yeah,
all
at
week.
this point.
Yeah.
They don't bleep it.
All right. Or if they watched any hockey game before the 2000s where they were being interviewed by women with a big swing and a dick. Remember
Yes.
that? They would be interviewed, all the Russians, all the hockey players. I was in the Philadelphia Flyers locker room. Back when it was Eric Lindros, Rod Brindamore, Joel Otto, Kevin Dineen, and I saw.
Where were you hiding?
I saw Eric Lindros' penis.
Wow.
Oh, no.
And I saw his penis while he was being interviewed by a lady reporter in the locker room.
That's a good thing.
You don't understand. They're not wearing
Bernie,
a towel. They're just standing there.
dirty
Like,
man.
can you get a towel?
Somebody get
Does CTE remove the ability for you to just have the forethought to put on a towel?
I'm too old to go diving into a locker.
I can't. I don't have time to be grabbing towels.
I have an interview to do with a lady who's
Yes.
in here. for
Lady
no
who's in
reason.
the men's locker
I have a
room.
lady doing press.
Hockey is a different sport.
Thank God there's a camera.
Yeah.
You just toss a woman into a room of naked men. Good luck.
Yeah, it's not a good play.
We'll send a camera crew in with you.
Okay, hold on, let me check
go.
my bullet points. Is this hockey today? Ow!
Oh, no. Wow, that's a lot of these.
My eyes are up here, lady.
Yeah, just sassy.
So last night, 60 Minutes, a news magazine program.
The best.
It's different from a news show.
is it really?
It's a news magazine program.
News magazine program.
I apologize. Program.
It had Andy, what's his name on, right? Rooney.
Andy Rooney?
Wasn't he on there?
I have no idea. The Facebook whistleblower was Francis
Milanakis?
Haugen yesterday. And this is the new Facebook whistleblower. And look, I want to tell you, people are talking about this now, and I want people out there who, not just if you're conservative, if you value your liberty. You know, they always say, there are racist dog whistles, right? Where people, for example, things like freedom, things like taxes, right? Things like don't tread on me. They say these are secretly racist dog whistles. Tea Party, racist dog whistle. MAGA is a racist dog whistle. These aren't dog whistles when we're talking about supporting authoritarianism so much as giant loud whistles, okay? Just to be clear, you guys, beware the Trojan horse with this lady. Whenever someone uses the term hate speech, unironically, or whenever someone tries to say that we need to be doing more about misinformation, while simultaneously we have Twitter fact-checking obituaries, and we'll get to Snopes in a second on the new drug coming from Merck, these are not people who are looking to regulate the industry in a way that is pro-freedom, in a way that opens up competition. So I see people both on the left and the right thinking that this is something that it's not. Let's look at what she had to say on 60 Minutes.
Frances Haugen told us she was recruited by Facebook in 2019. She says she agreed to take the job only if she could work against misinformation.
Red flag one.
Because she had lost a friend to online conspiracy theories.
What?
Complaints
What
say
is that?
Facebook's
Stop
own
drinking
research
tap water?
shows that it amplifies hate, misinformation, and political unrest.
He started accusing,
But the company
he started
hides what it
chastising
knows.
frogs for being
She
homosexual.
Says evidence shows that the company is lying to the public about making
that is a
significant
handsome woman.
progress against hate, violence, and misinformation.
Hate, violence,
When we live in an
misinformation.
information environment that is full of angry, hateful, polarizing content,
Predator
it
took off his
erodes
mask.
our civic trust.
Can you
It
turn
erodes our
around so I
faith in
can
each
finish?
other. It erodes our ability to want
The
to
interview.
care for each other. The version of Facebook that exists today is tearing our societies apart and causing ethnic violence. They told us we're dissolving civic integrity. Like they basically said, oh, good, we made it through the election. There wasn't riots. We can get rid of civic integrity.
No, there were
now.
plenty of riots before the election.
Fast
What are you
forward a
talking
couple
about?
months,
This is
we
Black
got
Lives
the
Matter.
insurrection. And
Peaceful
when they
protests.
got rid of civic integrity, it was the moment where I was like, I don't trust that they're willing to actually invest what needs to be invested to keep Facebook from being dangerous.
Now, to keep Facebook from being dangerous, be aware of what she's saying. It's dangerous if people are allowed to spread misinformation. Well, what's misinformation? For example, you're not allowed to discuss ivermectin.
Yep.
That was something. You're not allowed to suggest that originally, right when they said there would be 2 point whatever million deaths in America, you weren't allowed to suggest that would be incorrect. When they said that masks don't work, don't wear masks, you were not allowed to say, actually, that's not true if used in the appropriate hospital setting. And of course, now you're not allowed to say, actually, masks may not be as effective if not used in their appropriate hospital setting with these certain set of guidelines. In those cases, of course, masks are appropriate and masks can work if you follow the guidelines that we've always had for masks. I've got to be very, very careful.
Very
here.
careful.
Otherwise, it could be misinformation.
I know.
When you had people saying it was a mortality rate in the general population of 4%. You couldn't say, actually, these doctors say that it is significantly more comparable to, let's just say, less deadly viruses or diseases than one that might kill you at 4%, getting into borderline polio territory. That's misinformation. Let's be really, really clear when she says we want to get misinformation and I lost a friend to misinformation, and they continually recite rules like hate speech. If anyone uses the term hate speech, this is someone who believes in an authoritarian government. Hate speech is not a thing. It does not exist. It is not real. It is an all-encompassing term that allows someone to determine what is too offensive to be spoken. See Australia. See Canada, where comedians and pastors get jailed.
Yeah, absolutely. And people never ask that second question. It's like, oh, well, it sounds good to get rid of disinformation and hate speech.
Sure.
And things. It's like, okay, well, define it. No, one, nobody can. And two, it will always change because it is not definable. It just depends on who is making the judgment call at this. And we just talked about somebody on Twitter fact-checking an obituary. It's like, okay, come on, guys. Are you the same people telling me on Facebook that this is hate speech? Really?
Yeah, this is what's going on right now in this country. So let's compare that, by the way. What was the coverage of the James O'Keefe whistleblower from Project Veritas? That didn't get a 60-minute special. I wonder if it could be maybe for... can we roll that clip?
Facebook uses classifiers in their algorithms to determine certain content to be what they call vaccine hesitant, or they call it vaccine
his mistake is he
hesitancy
brought
without
receipts.
the user's knowledge. They assign a score to these comments that's called the VH score, the vaccine hesitancy score. And based on that score, will demote or leave the comment alone, depending on the content within the comment.
What's your read on this?
The borderline vaccine framework, shocking stories, potentially or actually true events or facts that can raise safety concerns.
And by the way, we've run afoul of this on YouTube.
Of course.
Potentially.
In the past, where they go, even if you quote the CDC, but it may craft a narrative that might cause vaccine hesitancy, they reserve the right to, it used to be there were community guidelines and there were advertiser-friendly guidelines. Then they created, some in the industry refer to it as a Crowder rule, borderline content. Sorry.
You screwed it up for everybody. Way to go.
Dang it.
Screwed up for everybody by providing references and sources.
That's true.
That's the problem, is when they can't get around. Hold on a second. You're providing references and sources to PubMed. You're providing them to liberal sites. And again, all references available today at loudwithcrowder.com. If we can use New York Times or Fox News, we'll use the New York Times. If we can use an objective resource, that's what we use first. And they say, well, you did use these sources, but it may cause vaccine hesitancy. So disappear you go.
Your story doesn't matter anymore.
And this lady wants that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's be clear. She wants that, and as far as I've seen, she doesn't have the same level of receipts and research as the James O'Keefe guy.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that Facebook did, and by the way, I don't know if you guys thought this, but when I saw that this story was happening, I was like, oh, good. Somebody's going to come out and tell us how diabolical Facebook is and how in the bag for Democrats and liberals they are and how much they want to silence speech they disagree with. Whoops. I had no idea that was coming out of the gate. It needs to be more, you need to suppress
I was tipped off when I first saw the numbers 60. And I was like, minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I knew where it was going.
You knew before I did. But one thing that they'll do, they'll just they did for I can't remember what live stream it was. Maybe it was the Oscars where they just pulled it down.
Ours?
Yeah, remember we were doing that a long time ago. So that's what.
Well, the Stephen Colbert thing we did last week just got blocked in some countries, specifically Japan first, and we've seen in the past where they block it in a country with heavier copyright laws, and then it moves to another country, and then eventually it's blocked in the United States. This was with a manual review, to be clear. We were clearly reacting to the god-awful dress up as vaccines and dance like a San Francisco Pride parade.
They had needles dancing.
And we're the ones they flagged?
Come on. It's the worst thing that's ever happened in late night.
Yes.
There's nothing worse.
It's worse than the heart attacks that took place on air.
It's worse than James, whatever his name is, doing carpool karaoke.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
All right, you're right.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
I hope he never gets T-boned.
That's caused I just hope he never plays carpool karaoke with Caitlyn Jenner.
No, ever. I was at I was actually at a store. We'll just say, because I don't know if we're allowed to legally say, children's literature section.
Oh,
this weekend. Yeah.
Well, you were at the airport.
You could call it the airport.
Okay, we won't.
Sure.
I was in an airport bathroom, and then I went over to this place. Sorry, but yeah, I went. It was a children's literature section at the airport. Which I don't know if you've been to the airport and seen the literary stuff, but there's a book, Mediocre, about white men. Every single book is about how I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I read White Fragility?
Yeah.
Oh, or just I Should Die by D.L. Hughley? Yeah. You know, it's
one that was a little too on the nose. Dave Landau sucks. It was
this is crazy.
Very specific
I'm
there.
like, it's written by me.
These
Very
algorithms
self-hating.
are really customizing this.
Yeah, that's really something. But yeah, this is what I saw.
Yeah, we saw.
Look at that. 3 books in a row about assholes.
Yes. For people listening on audio, like, what does it say?
I need a new butt? What's that?
Yeah,
That's a real one, yeah.
No, I know. What is that?
Well, the prequel was Oscar Visits the Folsom Street Fair.
Yes. Yeah,
What
the
is
sequel
so
to the Fauci one will be how the Fauci became a doctor and stole Christmas.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even an Ivermectin, too small for a mouse.
Yeah.
Just tapping it out of their fingers.
His heart grew 3 sizes that day because of a COVID disease. That's
Yes.
one of the side effects.
That is not proven to be a side effect at
Yeah,
all.
we're not
His
doctors.
myocardia was exacerbated 3 times that day.
He's not seen a patient in several years.
Sled just goes over the dog like, well, listen.
Oh, okay.
What do you think's going to happen with a cardiac arrest?
I am terrified, though, that there are Fauci dolls and books, though, in every children's section.
Yeah, it really is
it's a little
scary.
weird.
And we're going to get to Fauci saying you can't celebrate Christmas. This is a man more drunk on power than anyone I've ever seen. I know people say Donald Trump, not even close. And what's worse is this is a man who was unelected and is one of the highest paid officials in all of government. Accountable to no one. He's been right almost never when you go back to AIDS. Go and see what he was saying about AIDS. Go look up our segment, Fauci with AIDS. You probably have to go to the website because YouTube won't show it to you. Said kids could get it from a cereal box if they lived in a house, that it could be airborne. Right? This guy was wrong about a lot, and he is drunk with power. But first, before we go into that, look, I want to be clear, too. I'm not a fan of Senator Sinema. A lot of people say, oh, she's moderate. Well, I don't care. But I understand that she's taking a lot of flack from progressives. She's she represents her constituents in Arizona. And there was a video here where people followed her. I think there's a girl's name Blanca. Blanca followed her into the bathroom because of this bill, right, the infrastructure bill, and is complaining about her not doing enough for illegal immigrants. And then there's some stuff that you should know. Again, this goes back to big tech. The fact that this video, at the time of this recording, and you guys can comment below so we kind of keep a timeline going if it's still up. At the time of this recording, this video is still up. This girl follows her into the bathroom to harass her.
We need a Build Back Better plan right now.
We're not
Landscape.
We need solutions. The Build Back Better plan has the solutions that we need. We knocked on doors for you to get you elected, and just how we got you elected, we can get you out of office if you don't support what you promised us.
We need 7 million citizenship for 7 million. We need the Build Back Better plan right now.
My name is
Not a
Blanca.
sounder.
I was brought here to the United States when I was 3 years old. And in 2010, my grandparents both got deported because of SB 1070. And I'm here because I
that poor other lady.
that we need a pathway to citizenship. My grandfather passed away 2 weeks ago, and I was not able to go to Mexico and visit him because there is no pathway to citizenship. And if we have the opportunity to pass it right now, then we need to do it because there's millions of undocumented people just like me who share the same story or even worse
Just
things
like you,
that
huh?
happened to them.
Get out. Bye.
Because of
Bye.
SB 1070 and because of anti-immigrant legislation. And this is the opportunity to pass it right now. And we
She
need
still has to clean the bathroom.
We need to hold you accountable to what you told us, what you promised us that you were going to pass when we knocked on doors for you. It's not right.
Yeah, there's a lot that's not right with this, sweetheart.
And flush.
Poor thing. And a couple of things. I can't go to Mexico because I'll get stuck. Really? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
What do you mean stuck in Mexico? What do you mean to say that Mexico is an inferior country to the United States, and that's why you couldn't go because you wouldn't want to be forced to stay there because the United States is better? No! Well, then, you know what? Go back. No, you can't have your cake and eat it too, especially not next to a urinal.
Nope.
I wish Mexico didn't suck, but it kind of does.
Can't have your pinata and break it too.
You cannot.
I just wanted to make it.
No, it really is
Culturally.
difficult, though,
Yeah.
that when people make the argument that, well, hold on a second, the United States is not superior to other countries, but it's a human right for everyone to come here because it is, well, not better.
No.
Just more people want to come into this country than any other country in
for
the
some
world.
reason.
For whatever reason.
I love how she said we need the Build Back Better now, and I'm like, you didn't read that that's a 10-year plan, did you?
Yeah, you didn't read
Yeah.
it.
That's going to take a while to
But it's
kick
got
in.
to happen
so-
now.
Oh yeah, did you know a politician said that? Because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're used to this yet. They say all this stuff, so you vote for them, and then it doesn't happen.
We've been telling you
they
this
don't
for
mean it.
years, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me be clear about this too. I watched this as someone who has recorded a lot of videos. Regardless of whether a state is a single-party consent state, which means you can film someone without them giving you consent, it is illegal still to film someone in a bathroom.
It is.
Why?
Yes, it
because
is.
the law says there's a reasonable expectation of privacy
Yes.
when you're taking a shit. So, unlike if you're publicly protesting at a park, like we've had people who are public
Right.
protesters and they go to
Yes.
YouTube and say, hey, I don't want to be on camera even though I'm in a public park at a public protest, and YouTube says, okay, we'll remove it, or we have to blur the content. This happens all the time, even though we are well within our rights. We've had it happen on Twitter. Look at Project Veritas again. On Twitter, they had their account suspended for violations of privacy. This is a clear breaking of the law, following someone into the bathroom, recording a video, still up.
She should have just said, I would get out of here, though, because speaking of Mexican, I had it for lunch.
Yes.
And this is about to
And
be
woo!
a disaster.
Ew, you're gross, Sinema. That's,
It's not gross.
That's
This-
disgusting.
That is very loud and splashy.
That's disgusting. You need to go to an internist,
You are-
gastroenterologist.
You should be bit by a snake.
Yeah, gluten-free or something.
I don't know. I don't have a document.
I don't have papers, but I hear it's better if you don't eat wheat. Look, and
There
this
we
is-
can do that.
Everyone knows the story. Well, who watches? So when I had Bernie Sanders on an airplane,
Yes.
he was
Yeah.
right in front of me. This happened. Now this happened. He was right in front of me, and he had the economy plus seat.
Right.
First class in every single facet except name, and he didn't get a cocktail. And he's sitting there with his brand new iPad. I could tell because it had the bezel, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
The new one.
I remember I texted you guys. You're like, you have to go talk to him. So I put on my, of course, now banned shirt about socialism and the stone fruit.
Yeah, fruit.
And I don't know if it's a stone fruit. I think it does because it has a pit.
What qualifies?
so.
And then I saw him get off the airplane. It was 2 a.m. I went to Burlington, Vermont, and everyone walked one way, and he peeled off, and he was walking like Brooks from Shawshank, and he just looked so lonely. I said, "This isn't fair," and I really hate that. So I didn't do it. I would have been well within my legal rights to do it. I don't like doing that. You certainly shouldn't be following a woman into the bathroom. Not to mention it's illegal. But this is, again, you have these big tech, really these oligarchists, right? You have a few companies. You have Facebook, you have Amazon, you have, of course, YouTube, Alphabet, right? Google. You have Twitter, you have Apple. And they create their own rules that are separate from the law. So in other words, we follow the law. We'll get consent for people to be interviewed. It will be presented to these big tech platforms. And then someone says, I don't care about the law. I just don't like being, for example, and I change my mind. They say, okay, we'll remove it. That is not operating within the law. But then they actually flagrantly disregard the law. So they enforce laws that are not enforceable by law, and then they don't enforce actual laws. At what point do we say these are lawless bureaucrats, technocrats, who control far too much information and privacy in our lives? If they're going to be consistent, and if you're going to enjoy the legal protections of a platform, enforce the law and don't make up new arbitrary ones. Instead, we have the opposite.
Yeah. That would be the easy way to go, right? Just enforce it. Now, I don't want to say too much about this because they could get mad at us to be like, well, Steven Crowder showed it on his show, and so therefore we have to take that down.
Yes,
they told us the law was there.
Well, that's what'll happen. We'll have it taken down.
Of course. But it'll be out there for everybody to grab from everybody else's channel.
Like Colbert with his needle sketch. By the way, you can follow us on Instagram and on TikTok. Not conceding that territory to those Chi-Coms, even though they removed our old profile. And the best way to tune in is it's a Monday through Thursday show live, 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, hit the notification bell, but just tune in live. That's why we do it, because sometimes subscriptions don't work. The best way is just to check in and watch with us, and we'll be taking your chats on Mug Club, playing newest gender pronouns. Before we move on to Fauci and this medication, Eminem, you found this one, Dave.
I did, yes.
In your hometown.
The hometown.
Of Detroit.
Homie town.
The D. The dirty D.
Eminem opened up a restaurant called Mom's Spaghetti.
This is great.
Vomit on your sweater already.
Yeah, that's a great entry
so
point.
appetizing.
Yeah. He's Italian?
Yeah.
I don't
think so.
I don't know what he is, but
I don't know.
Either way, if he says the N-word, someone's getting slapped.
Yeah. Ask his dad, who introduced himself 2 years ago.
Right. Like a lottery winner.
Yeah.
So Mom's Spaghetti and a bunch of Detroit hipsters wait in line for hours to eat subpar pasta and get their albums autographed by a man who now campaigns for Biden. Here is the ad in Detroit for M&M's. This is not a joke. Mom's Spaghetti.
Get your sweaters ready, Detroit. Mom's Spaghetti is coming to 2131 Woodward Avenue. Want some road pasta after the game?
Got that.
Meatballs?
You know we got that.
What about the Sketty sandwich? Mom's got that too. Get ready to get some Mom's Spaghetti, Detroit. Opening in the alley next to Union Assembly this September. 313-888-8388. Mom's Spaghetti. It's all ready. Ready.
Yeah. Wonderful. And that brings us to this week's 7+1.
You forgot Stefan in the chamber.
And after that, we'll talk. There are some Yelp reviews, which we'll talk about over Mom's Spaghetti.
Yeah,
important. Spoiler alert, they're not positive.
Not positive at all.
So, this is actually a trend. I don't know if there's hip-hop artists, they're entrepreneurs. Did you know this? I mean, Jay-Z is the first black billionaire.
Spell it.
Or was it him or Dr. Dre?
I think it was Jay-Z.
I don't know. It was like an arms race
Puff
of
Daddy?
crappy products.
Beats by Dre, though. They're pretty good. I like
wait, I'm paying $200 for headphones, and they're not even noise canceling, and you like it, bitch. I guess so.
Oh, okay.
But somebody might shoot you to take them. That's how nice they are.
Like starter jackets back in the day.
Yeah.
Or like when someone takes their Pimp My Ride back to southeast Detroit.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Pimp My Ride, he gets there, and then immediately carjacked.
They should have a show called Unpimp My Ride.
Yes.
They just take everything.
Yes.
It's just a follow-up show. That's what it is.
We threw the fish tank in the street.
Pimp My Ventilator.
Yeah, Dodge Omni doesn't need 4 televisions in it.
One of the Fords, they don't need an oxygen bar.
You never know.
Like, yo, I got an oxygen bar in here and a shark tank. Oh, shit, he's dead. Well, the point remains.
Yeah, but look at it spins.
Yeah. Am I supposed to feed these fish?
I got to keep that up?
It's more of a guideline. So we have the top 7 hip-hop food franchises.
Oh, okay.
Dave, you actually have this number 7. You're a fan.
Oh, big fan. We got Salt and Pepper's Mighty Mighty Good Ham.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That is good. It's on brand for them.
And it's delicious.
It is delicious.
It's some of my favorite.
Number 6, one of my favorites, of course, and this seems self-explanatory. They were more piggybacking Wu-Tang chicken. Yeah, Wu-Tang chicken with the famous tangy ruckus sauce.
Oh,
you have to request that they bring the ruckus sauce.
The ruckus. Yeah, you're going to get an empty bag if you don't request.
Yeah, you're going to get an empty bag if you don't get it. And some old dirty bastard's just going to slap you. Number 5 is Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back Ribs. Nice. Yeah, that's
self-explanatory.
I mean, that works. Yeah, it does. It absolutely works. Yeah. Do you want to give us number 4 here, Dave? You're a fan.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. I got to go Flavor Flav's Flavor Aid.
That one's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's franchising.
It's really just a lemonade stand. Yeah. But I mean, really it's Flavor Flav, so for him, that's good.
Is this your own house brand? No! This Flavor Aid is from Trader Joe's!
Yeah. I peed in it like Problem Child.
Yeah! Oh. Like the good son when you have Macaulay Culkin hanging Elijah Wood off the balcony.
Mr. Freeway.
Yeah. Number 3, again, these are hip-hop food franchises. NWA's Fudge the Police, which was misinterpreted there in San Francisco.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
It's an ice cream parlor.
They also sell Kevlar piercing bullets, so some could argue it's a front.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. Number 2, Gerald, you number 2 from you.
Got it. It's a Drake's Pancakes.
That's right. And you were saying, Dave, about this.
It's good for a Canadian place, but people pretend it's way better than it actually is.
Yeah, it is.
I see.
Yeah.
Does he make them from the wheelchair or?
Right.
He does. Yeah. It's Degrassi.
Yeah. It was, as a matter of fact, I think they still own the licensing rights.
Oh, well, damn.
I'm pretty sure, all the money just goes to Degrassi.
Number 1, Cardi B's yeast injection. It's a bakery.
Gross, man.
Yeah. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just it comes up.
Oh, bakery.
Come on.
I get what you're saying.
And of course, the 7+1. The +1 most successful hip-hop mogul food franchise is Lizzo's all-she-can-eat buffet. You get nothing. She just shows up, and you sit and you watch.
Yes, that's true.
You just have an iPad and watch your Instagram. That's been this week's 7+1.
You forgot Stefan in the chamber.
Can I take this off?
Yeah, I've never seen somebody eat for 3 hours.
I don't even think anyone could see this.
I could.
This do-rag.
I could.
I brought my own chain.
The nose played.
It's so much work to look so stupid.
You mean awesome?
Sorry, what you said?
What?
Then we have to.
I'm staying in my
people
Rodman
bitch
gear.
about
We
rent
better
forgiveness.
twist his cap back.
Rent forgiveness. Well, you spent $12,000 on a grill and $4,000 on a back piece that no one can read.
Or see most of the time, by the way.
Facts, I think.
Do you walk around shirtless?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Maybe.
These are great items to have.
they look for reasons.
I'm a semi-nudist.
Yeah.
I'm subconscious.
Dave,
about
a midriff is not being semi-nudist.
He's just a self-conscious nudist. Baby steps.
That's all it is. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Baby steps.
I wear just a jock strap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I used to do in the locker room after the hockey games. Fauci. Now, this is something, he was just interviewed about this yesterday, I believe.
Yeah.
In case you thought the goalposts hadn't moved enough. Now this is what I said. Look, your civil protest is enjoying your holiday. Christmas, and of course, if they're talking about Christmas right now, they're going to do the same thing with Thanksgiving. They did it last year. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Who knew that Dickens was going to be the anarchist cookbook?
Just take some photos and post them.
Here's Fauci saying it may be too soon to tell if we can celebrate Christmas.
But we can gather for Christmas, or it's just too soon to tell?
You know, Margaret, it's just too soon to tell. We've just got to concentrating on continuing to get those numbers down and not try to jump ahead by weeks or months.
Okay, so here's something that people need to take into it. What's the number? We've never heard that. What's the number? They mocked Rand Paul for talking about herd immunity. Then Fauci said 70% for herd immunity as far as how many people need to be vaccinated. Then it went to 75, 80. We need to get the numbers down. The numbers are down.
Yeah.
The numbers are down dramatically. I'll have them for you. So I need to know, okay, Fauci, come on to a show that gets significantly more numbers than whatever you were doing there on Sunday, and you can talk to people, convince them, change their minds, give them a number. people don't trust you because what you've said has been factually incorrect. You've also twisted information, and you haven't given specifics for these broad, sweeping generalizations that, of course, result in a net loss of more and more freedoms. We need to focus on getting the numbers down. Okay, well, let me give you a couple of numbers. We have a trend, of course, in hospitalizations with COVID since their peaks at the beginning of August.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess towards the end of August, beginning of September. Yeah. Florida dropped 65%. Okay? 16,000 to 5. Texas dropped 40%. Hawaii dropped 62%. Georgia dropped 41%. Also, we've seen 7-day moving the average death rate, which is the number that they use. Those have gone down. Louisiana down 53%. Mississippi down 59%. Florida down 95%. What's the number, Fauci?
Yeah. Did Florida make any major changes, by the way, when those numbers started to go up? Did Texas reinstitute lockdowns and make sure that everybody had masks in every possible setting, including being outside in the forest by yourself, making sure a tree fell and made noise? No, I didn't see that, but their numbers went down dramatically. Hawaii did.
They're still releasing attack ads. Florida's a great example because they're still releasing attack ads against Florida.
Yeah.
Right? You have the deaths have gone down 7-day average 95%, and their cases 65%. Sorry, their hospitalizations 65% lower, and their 7-day rolling death 95% lower. Okay, so 95% reduction in deaths. That's not. What's the number, Fauci?
Yeah.
When do you praise something as a success? Now, we know early on you praise New York as a success. You praise Michigan as a success, even though they had horrible numbers, which again goes to tell you that this isn't a man who is following numbers, data, science. Something else really concerning. We've talked about Australia. Why is Fauci? Why has no one in this administration expressed concern over Australia? You're talking about people who expressed concern that the Taliban's cabinet wasn't diverse enough. So they are not beyond intervening, regardless of cultural standards. Yeah. Why have none of our leaders said, oh, look, of course, look, you're talking about quarantine camps that are going to be built in Australia through 2024. Yeah. That is not us. We will not institute a national mandate on everybody. We are not going to lock you down and have a curfew. No one has spoken out against women being chokeslammed for walking their dog after curfew.
And yet there'll be people that say you have to follow the science in every single setting. Right? I think that's scientific. Florida pretty much did what a 5-year-old does when they don't want to do something. They held their breath and sat on their hands.
Right.
And their cases are down 65% for hospitalizations, 95% for death rate. Is that I'm just making sure, because that almost seems like you have a comparison between Hawaii, who locked everybody down again, and Florida and Texas, who did nothing.
Or you have New York.
And the results were either similar, or Texas and Florida outperformed Hawaii.
Yeah.
I saw the best tweet. It was just that Fauci doesn't want Christmas because he doesn't want to go back to the North Pole and make toys. I laughed for 5 minutes.
I'm going to be a dentist. Fauci, we don't need any chewing dolls. No one wants to play with a Fauci in the box. You're right.
No one does. Oh, so I just hope nobody who's into voodoo buys one of those and has some pins.
Yeah, me too. I hope he doesn't end up on the island of misfit toys.
No.
Boy, Santa was basically Hitler there. You have, you're imperfect, you're handicapped, you go on this island and we'll never see you again. But here's why they haven't spoken out against Australia. Listen to Fauci. First off, we have another clip, or secondly, we'll have a clip of him, what he said about people who are vaccinated, which he's now, again, gone against completely. And what matters is that people followed his advice. But also talking about your rights or your perceived rights. This is a man who says the quiet part out loud with total disregard for your rights. This was only a couple of days ago.
Indeed, you do have personal liberties for yourself, and you should be in control of that.
Well, good.
But
That's
you
fantastic.
are a member of society.
Oh, no.
And as a member of society, reaping all the benefits of being a member of society, you have a responsibility to society.
Here it comes.
No.
And I think each of us, particularly in the context of a pandemic that's killing millions of people, you have got to look at it and say there comes a time when you do have to give up what you consider your individual right of making your own decision for the greater good of society. That if you are vaccinated, you have a very high degree of protection, and therefore you do not need to wear a mask.
By the way, if I say that right now, we get banned right now. Wherever you're watching this, we get banned, which is why we have a mirror channel on Rumble, and of course you can watch the extra show on Mug Club. You know, he says what you perceive, what you believe are your liberties. Hey, how would you define our liberties, Fauci? Shouldn't that be a part of what you take into consideration here? How would you? He's never discussed that.
Yeah.
I only follow the science. Okay, 95% lower deaths, 65% lower hospitalizations in Florida. You're saying millions are dying. Well, not in Florida. And again, this is a regional issue. This is a state-to-state issue. Isn't it wonderful? Don't you understand federalism? But when you say what people perceive as their rights, Fauci, okay, since you're the one who is defining rights, define them. What do I have? My own. Where does my bodily autonomy end and your misinformation, for example, like on AIDS, begin? He's never called to the mat on that.
No, absolutely not. And by the way, I don't see him calling people who eat too much to the mat on that as well, saying, oh my gosh, you're overrunning our hospitals with heart disease.
Well, if he does that, he can't make a guest stop on The View.
That's true, right? And going after people who maybe eat too much salt, or going after people who eat too much sugar, drink too many
Stop
soda.
talking about me, man. I'm right here.
I'm sorry, Garrett. I'm just saying.
We were going to split a cake for lunch.
I know. Now we got to throw it away.
Yeah, now we're just going to go try to eat
listen,
healthy.
if I could help you, you finally have to get rid of your own individuality, right?
Yes.
Think about it as a collective. Wait a minute. I'm starting to sound like, I don't know, every regime in the world that's killed millions and millions of people for the good of the collective.
Do you think anyone...
Or at least pretended.
Right. Well, but here's the difference. At least they pretended.
I'm kidding.
At least they pretended. Fauci's like, well, you know, you think you have rights. I don't. Does anyone say, like, Fauci, stop saying stupid shit, okay? Don't let on. Don't say what you perceive as your... Just say we would just go with follow the science, and then we'll get rid of anyone who disagrees with you. Look, it makes our job easy. Don't say it's time to give up your liberties.
Who doesn't want to follow the science and have a cured disease? And the other part is, if we let go of one right, that's just a slippery slope.
Oh my gosh!
And no one seems to understand that.
And look behind you.
never get
They're
it back.
all your rights.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, the only reason he said millions of people is because he wanted to scare you.
Yes.
Millions of people are dying from this. In the United States, millions of people are dying from this. Well, no, not in the United States. Well, what about Texas?
I don't have a topographical map
well,
or a globe.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Got you, journalism, much.
What about my age group? What about my health status? Huh? Any of these things matter? I thought this was how science worked. You kind of nailed it down to the specific person who talks to their doctor and figures out the best path forward. But millions of people are dying, Fauci? Really?
Yeah. Look, can you quote that? Guess what would happen if I said on the flip side, and I'm not saying this, if I said, you know, COVID has killed hundreds of people. Boom, banned, gone. COVID's killing millions of people in the United States. Nothing. No accountability. One of the highest paid officials in the United States government, and you didn't elect him. That's a scary thought. Okay, let's move on here while we're talking about this. There's a new COVID treatment.
Oh, good.
That is coming to market.
So happy.
Wait, treatment? We don't ever talk about
Is that also like therapeutic? Is it
holistic?
Perhaps.
I hope.
Perhaps. Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
But hold on. There's none, because otherwise you couldn't get an emergency approval from the FDA. So.
Oh, I think I think there's something about that in the regulations near the back.
Careful, guys. Misinformation.
Oh, misinformation.
Yes,
you're right. Yeah.
Yes.
So no, I'll read from here. So Merck, I'll read it from AP News because that's okay.
That's safe.
They just announced the new COVID-19 pill, Molnupiravir. I think Molnupiravir.
That was close. Very
Is it
nice.
Molnupiravir?
That's really close. Yeah.
That reduces hospitalizations and deaths by half.
Wow.
Now I don't think. Now, first off, let me just say, if that's true, okay, great. Pfizer also announced an antiviral treatment called BF0732123332.
Elon Musk?
Not as catchy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Titles guy. Titles guy.
They're not going to have a song about that.
Right.
on Fox News commercials.
Ask your doctor about PF07321332.
No, I said 333. I always make a simple
Son
mistake.
of a bitch. Now you. Oh no, you said 33. Now you have the pill that kills you.
RESPECT 5205433.
Hey, there you go.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me. It's just a guy
PF
coughing.
8675309.
These commercials are just awful.
They're the Ozempic's my favorite. Ozempic.
Just Rocketen. Have you seen that one? Rocketen. I guess it's not a commercial. It's not a Rocketen. You know I'm gonna be ordering shit. You know, whatever it is. Just like, this is so lazy. And Fauci's like, oh, I love the Ozantic commercial.
Oh, it's great.
It's great.
Big fan.
I love all the HIV pill commercials. It's like, I see a theme.
I see a theme.
Yeah.
And that's that HIV is don't share the Cinnamon Toast Crunch with your parents, said Dr. Fauci.
It is.
That's what he said.
Yeah, a lot of dudes in that commercial. Let's just that's not
Just
misinformation.
bros being bros. It's
Just
classy.
watch the commercial.
Doing very manly things.
But the good thing about this new pill, and let me be clear, I would have no problem with a new pill
Yeah.
if it's done on an honest playing field where we have clinical data, where we not only do we have clinical data on all of the available treatments as opposed to suppression, I would also be fine with it, again, if we allow an open market, and just like with other afflictions, doctors are allowed to prescribe off-label. This happens all the time. For example, I would be fine with this alternative treatment if they also acknowledged some study, if they also stopped talking about a drug that received the Nobel Prize for in human use, to which they referred as horse dewormer.
On top of everything else, the FDA has to warn people not to take livestock dewormer.
Doctors say Oklahomans are using the cow deworming medicine Ivermectin to treat or prevent COVID-19.
For those who may not know, the main ingredient of horse wormer is ivermectin. Ivermectin has gotten a lot of attention lately as people try to push some other means of COVID protection and treatment. You mean other than just getting the COVID vaccine?
So things are clearly bad, but they're being made even worse by people who have refused to take the vaccine and instead are swallowing horse paste.
What would you tell someone who is considering taking that drug?
Don't do it. There's no evidence whatsoever that works, and it could potentially have toxicity.
Interesting that he says that, because we're going to
mentioned,
get into the science.
with people who have gone to poison control centers because they've taken the drug at a ridiculous dose and wind up
That's
getting
factually
sick. There's
inaccurate.
no
People
clinical
called poison
evidence
control centers.
that indicates
To be clear,
that this works.
there was not an increase in admittance in poison control centers. People were calling poison control centers asking, can I take this horse dewormer? And they would say no. I said, all right, click. But this idea that these poison control centers were overburdened because of people taking horse paste, that's not true. Where's the fact check on Fauci? Where's a little disclaimer underneath it, like you put up for a woman's obituary? So this is something, could this be, when we're talking about this, the new Merck drug?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Merck came out, they created ivermectin. They also said ivermectin does not work for COVID. They referred to it as horse dewormer, their own medication.
Yeah.
They received over $300-something million for vaccine from the federal government.
Nice.
And of course, they're seeking out a new patent for this new drug. And keep in mind, the new drug, the course of a treatment will be $700. Ivermectin, a handful of bucks.
It's $700
for one course. That's what they're saying tentatively right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Which isn't nearly as bad as some other drugs, I guess. I don't know. But they also want to get their heart medication approved to be paid for by Medicaid. So
that should, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just wondering where all the folks who used to bitch about Big Pharma went to. Could this be?
Oh, they're championing them. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They're dressing up as them.
They switched teams.
Yeah. They're doing entire sketches at the beginning of their terrible talk shows about it.
Yes, it's just propaganda at this point. Now, let me explain the science, and I'm going to get a little nerdy, so I'm going to try to avoid getting off into the weeds here. Could it be that they ivermectin and this new drug, molnupiravir, I think is how it's pronounced?
Still good, yeah.
They both function as protease inhibitors. That's a main mechanism of action. Now, before you guys get mad, I'm going to go through the science here because I want to go through some claims that have been made. This is a claim, for example, the fact check from Snopes, trusted when it comes to fact checking on YouTube. They use Snopes. They use the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
Authoritative.
It's good people.
And the patent, by the way, expired on ivermectin in 1996. So this is from Snopes, where they say the claim is Pfizer-mectin. Is Pfizer's new drug just ivermectin in disguise? False. Okay. And they say they're not.
Okay.
I said it on the show. I said Fivermectin.
Which is funny.
And what they're fact checking, let me bring this up for you, is the above displayed tweet claims that Pfizer's new drug is simply ivermectin with a new name. That's not true. Pfizermectin. That's not the claim. That's a joke. Then they go on in here at Snopes.
There's more?
You have to go when you print it out 2 pages in.
Oh, okay.
It says a more nuanced version of this Pfizermectin rumor claims that both Pfizer's new drug and ivermectin act as potent protease inhibitors, which according to social media users, okay, look, that's not the nuanced version. That's the version. That's what people are saying, and Pfizermectin is a joke that's funnier than Fivermectin. I'm kind of upset I didn't think about it.
And you just fact-checked The Onion again.
Right. And they are saying that these drugs are not protease inhibitors. Well, look, let me read this for you. It says, currently known as PF07, is a protease inhibitor designed to block the activity of the main protease enzyme that the coronavirus needs to replicate. This drug is not a repackaged version of ivermectin. Okay.
Let's just be clear.
It's true that some of these new drugs act as protease inhibitors. Let me explain to you what this means.
Why do you have to say that?
Yeah. By the way,
it shouldn't even come up if it's not.
It's like fact check. Is it actually called Ivermectin? No. Fact check. Do they have a similar mechanism of action, which may explain why? Ooh, well, that's more nuanced, and let me give you a non-answer. No. Ivermectin. Can you not address the joke? Address the statement.
Yeah, I feel like I'm this thing like walking around right now. I promise I'm not Gerald Morgan. I know I put on a jersey that doesn't cover up Gerald Morgan very well, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I am now Dennis Rodman.
Now let me clear up some confusion
That's what
here.
Ivermectin does.
Some people are now. Not all of these drugs are just protease inhibitors, and here's something you need to understand. Okay, protease inhibitor. What does that mean? It's basically something that the short end of it is it blocks replication of the virus in your body. Okay,
Right.
you have these long chain proteins. You have this binding affinity, docking affinity that blocks this replication of the virus. But let's just explain it. We have all of the published research available on the website. It's about stopping virus replication in the body through disrupting its mechanism of action. Okay, now. Ivermectin was not created as a protease inhibitor.
Correct.
A drug like remdesivir was. Okay, it's often used for viruses like HIV. Okay, now there have been actually some research looking at repurposed drugs like ivermectin and remdesivir. Here's what's interesting. The claim is saying actually ivermectin is an antiparasitic. However, when they compared drugs for protease inhibition, because they were looking to see what's most effective with COVID, since they thought that would work, ivermectin blew them away. Blew them away.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, even remdesivir was blown away. Okay, so there's something called the MOLDOX score. You don't need to know what this means necessarily. You can go and look it up after, but the MOLDOX score takes into account the totality of how effective it is at blocking virus replication. Ivermectin was 140. Remdesivir, an actual protease inhibitor, was 111. And then you have hydroxychloroquine was 88, and favipiravir, sounds like something I'd order at the Lebanese restaurant, was 59, which is an actual protease
So the higher the better.
The higher the better.
Oh.
And ivermectin was by far and away the highest when compared to drugs that were developed as protease inhibitors. Let's be really clear about something here. There are drugs that are repurposed all the time.
Okay, yeah.
For example, remember how they were stabbing Hillary Clinton with a diazepam pen like Russell Crowe in 310 to Yuma? Do you know what diazepam is? It's Valium.
Oh,
it's Valium. And Valium is then used as an anti-seizure medication. There are other anti-seizure medications, but Valium was more effective for specific types of seizures in some instances. My point is, drugs are developed in one way, and then they're often discovered to be more effective sometimes than other drugs with a different mechanism. That's what was seen with ivermectin. That is peer-reviewed, that is published. Okay.
Yeah, like Valium.
Yeah, and there's really...
It could be seen for fun.
Yeah, it could just be used for, I call it Friday night, but I have a prescription.
But you also need an upper. You don't want to just pass out.
Right.
You got to cut it, kids.
Yes. Little fentanyl goes a long
Don't
way.
lose your show.
Just a tiny pinhead.
Just a dabble do ya.
Off to the race.
So the new Merck drug, this is the claim that they're making. The new Merck drug is an antiviral, while ivermectin is antiparasitic. Okay, that is true. But there can be overlap in use. And primarily, again, the use that we're talking about here is this MOLDOX score, which largely looks at the protease inhibition. Ivermectin is more effective. Now, here's what's really concerning to me, and you're just going to have to kind of follow me on this here, is when you look at the new pill, the new Merck pill, they were saying, okay, we're going to test this protease inhibition.
Yeah.
They compared it to remdesivir. Why? Why? Here's what you usually do with drugs. You compare it to the currently most effective option. That's why when potheads say, it helps my glaucoma, and you say, first off, you're 22. Second, maybe it helps, but there are more effective glaucoma medications out there, which is why marijuana is not typically recommended for glaucoma or cataracts, right? It's about measuring against the most effective version of that medicine out there. They didn't test it against ivermectin. They tested this new drug against remdesivir, which was already blown out of the water by ivermectin on the MOLDOX score, peer-reviewed medical research. Why? Here's something else. When you're looking at these trials right now, the government has, this is overlay L, already has an order for 1.7 million courses, so $1.2 billion for this pill. They've conducted clinical trials, and Merck, hey, take a guess. How many clinical trials have they conducted on their drug, ivermectin, on which the patent has expired in 1996? None.
Less than one?
Yeah.
None. So when you look at an in vitro study that shows its binding efficacy, usually that would lead to, let's now study it in a clinical trial to see how effective it is because it was clearly the most effective at this first stage of study. No, instead they said, let's take the second most effective, which is basically less effective. It's significantly less effective, like almost a third less effective. And let's compare our new drug to that because, well, I don't know why. I mean, one could say it's difficult to invest in a clinical trial for a drug that could be, printed out very cheaply.
Yeah, well, a couple of bucks for the course of treatment there. And look, we wouldn't even really have to ask these questions if we didn't think that something fishy was already going on with the drug companies. And I'm being nice there because they're making billions of dollars off of you and you and you and me, every one of us, because the government is paying for all of this stuff, and it just come back to taxes that they're talking about. We have to keep, $3.5 trillion is equal to $0, but nonetheless, they are pushing for something that almost it feels like this. And if somebody makes this claim, I would understand why. It's like ivermectin with like a little dose of caffeine or something like that. Like, oh, we've changed it just a little bit, right? Yeah. And then we're repackaging it. Again, like just strip this jersey off, put this jersey on it, and throw it out there. The only reason we're saying that is because you guys have denied that there was the existence of any kind of therapeutic that would do anything while people were dying in droves early on, especially when we didn't really know what was going on. And you did it to get an emergency approval, it seems, possibly from the FDA.
My problem is not with the new drug. My problem here is with the silencing of information of potential alternative treatments, people suppressing any information of any potential alternative treatments, the government saying you are not allowed to speak about alternative treatments, the top organizations in the world, information organizations, big tech saying you're not allowed to discuss any alternative treatment. And you know what? It's not an alternative treatment. Treatment. There has been no treatment available. If you go right now, they put you on a ventilator and they say, kiss your ass goodbye.
Which they said, was worse.
Some people have said that. Now that the science isn't in, but there are some studies that show maybe ventilation is worse. Intubation can be worse than, for example, they wanted to maybe conduct some studies on a CPAP, which they thought might be more effective.
I have one.
Do you? Oh my gosh.
It works.
Does it sound like a train coming through when you sleep?
No, I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Well,
your son's praying to God he falls asleep before you in the
roommate.
hotel room, though.
I know I snore because anytime I fall asleep on a plane, when I wake up, everyone looks at me like I'm a dick.
That's also because you ordered the fish and ate beef jerky.
That's true.
Don't sprinkle
That's true.
your cod with beef jerky.
And I tell them there's no cure.
Yes. And then you just smash a soft-boiled egg against the vomit bag. Yeah. Go, how do you like it?
You like it now?
Yeah. By the way, something else that's really concerning. This is something that we discovered. And again, all the sources are available. louderwithcrowder.com.
Yeah.
After we covered ivermectin in great detail on the show, the Journal of Antibiotics retracted an article.
Why?
On ivermectin. And by the way, it had nothing to do with COVID.
Oh.
We didn't cite it as having something to do with COVID. It was an article about the mechanism of action of ivermectin, which took into account several mechanisms of action. Its antiparasitic effect, its protease inhibition effect. Yeah. In other words, we used it as a reference, and it was removed. Now, to be clear, only 1 month later, they published an article on the mechanism of action for molnupiravir. And that was despite the authors admitting the review article appropriately describes the mechanism of action of ivermectin. And none of the authors agreed to the retraction. So the statement, the reason that they retracted this article was not because it was incorrect. It's not even because it had anything to do with COVID. It's because someone might reference it, look at the mechanism of action, cross-reference it with other recommended drugs that use a similar mechanism of action, and may actually make an informed medical decision between them and their physician. We can't have that, so they remove the medical information, some would argue the science, the data that simply explains the mechanism of action, how ivermectin works. It's gone. You can't read up on it now, despite the fact that they admit it was correct. How is that not ball-retractingly terrifying?
It's going to make them a lot of money. Maybe just buy their stock now. I don't know. How do we get in on this game?
That's a good point. Can we buy their stock?
It's like, oh, geez. If the game is rigged, I'd at least like to be on the winning side.
You mean it's not normal for a company to see their stock go up 527%?
Can you do that? I mean, are you allowed to say that? Like what you could buy stock-wise?
I don't know what we're allowed to say when
all I know is when Papa John dropped the N-bomb, I bought stock. Because I knew that was going to go down and
buy
then back
low
up eventually.
And sell on his apology.
Exactly.
Yes.
When they fired Papa John from his own company.
Yeah, I know.
And then brought in Shaq. Like, this will help.
Yeah.
Damn Papa.
He's like, I'm not racist. I love big pizza.
Yeah. Like, John is still around, is he? Because I won't no problem with him.
I'm going to knock him out.
And I want you guys to comment below. Tell me. Here's something, too, that I wanted to discuss. Comment if you see. Go to the sources and see. We put up screenshots in Time Machine since the article doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But you can go and read it for yourselves, and you can go back and watch that episode. We'll have a link in the description. This is something else that I want to talk about before we go to, and I'll close on this before we go to Mug Club and play newest gender pronouns. People often bitch about this generation being soft. And I understand people say, oh, in my day, and every generation has said that. I do think, though, that this COVID situation has really shown us the issue that we have with this generation. And the issue is anyone who's accomplished anything, you sort of have to determine two things. I'll use sports as an analogy here, although it can apply in life because sports, you're actually dealing with physical injuries. So in sports, you kind of have to determine how much do you want it, and then you need to be able to differentiate between an ouchie and an injury, right? You need to say, how much do I want? How much do I want to be an MVP? How much do I want to play ball in college? How much do I want to play pro ball? How much do I want to make a living off of this? And then you have to recognize, ooh, I tweaked my hamstring is it's a little bit stiff. That's an ouchie. Go out and play. I blew out my knee, and I know if there's one more play that I can't do it, that's an injury. People say listen to your body, but here's the thing. You can only listen to your body when you are in tune with your body. That requires work. That requires pushing through, ouch, so that you understand the difference between it and an injury. And let's apply this to society at large right now. And I mean this. It's how badly do you want it? Okay, how badly do you think people right now want to work? How badly do people want to be productive, contributing members of society? How badly, you had someone like Jimmy Braddock, who was an old school Democrat, who collected welfare, unemployment, and gave it back when he fought because he said, I think we have a country that's great enough to help a man while he's down, and I wanted to give back to make sure that I wasn't taking advantage. Nowadays, the people think, how badly do you want to live in a society where you are free? How badly do you want to earn your living? How badly do you want to be an autonomous individual versus relying on government? At one point, Americans wanted that really badly. That's why they would get on ships and travel across the globe, right? Where half the people didn't make it because there were actual outbreaks on these ships that would take them out. And then you have to recognize the difference once you determine if you want it or not. And of course, the implication here is a lot of Americans don't want it. That's why you have rent forgiveness. That's why you had continually extended unemployment benefits. That's why you had people saying, $20 an hour for a job that isn't worth it. I'm not going to apply. That's why you have a labor shortage, because people don't want it anymore. People don't take pride in accomplishments themselves. And then you look at ouchies versus injuries. You know what I would say is an injury? Ebola in Liberia with an almost 50% death rate. Remember when you mocked Samaritan's Purse for going in because he didn't like the evangelical Christians who ran it? But it was a 40-something%, I'm going by rote here, death rate in Liberia with Ebola. That's an injury. You could even say maybe polio or smallpox an injury, where it's anywhere from up to 20% of a mortality rate, specifically with children. But you do need to say, how badly do I want it? And right now in this country, when we're looking at a 95% reduction in deaths, for example, in a state like Florida, when you're looking at a 2% hospitalization rate for the country at large, all of society, and significantly lower for people who should be taking these years to show that they want it in the workforce. You're talking decimal percentages of people being hospitalized when you're talking about people under the age of 40. We need to be clear about this. These are factual statistics. Is that an ouchie or is that an injury? Is that worth shutting down the entire economy? Is it worth becoming like Australia? Because guess what? There doesn't need to be any conspiracy theory. We don't need to talk about FEMA camps. We don't need to talk about fluoride. We don't need to pull a Jesse Ventura. Look to Australia. To me, that's enough. And everyone out there, when you're looking at not celebrating Christmas because Fauci told you so, the same guy who said you're vaccinated, you can't get it, don't wear a mask. We just showed you the clip. Don't wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Fauci said, I have to say Fauci said, so that we don't get removed here. That's how absurd of a society we live in, thanks to our big tech oligarchs. When you're thinking about, oh, you know what, should I not do? Hold on a second. How badly do you want it? When people say, hey, family's most important. Faith, family, freedom, guess what? Family, Christmas, Thanksgiving. How badly do you want it? And is a fraction of a point of being hospitalized, if you're a young person, is it an ouchie or is it an injury where you should call off your life and not see your family? You have to decide that. Everyone has to start making these decisions. I can't make them for you. Unlike Fauci, I don't want to make them for you. And unlike YouTube, I of course don't want to make them for you. So you can comment below, and YouTube, you can piss off.